Dark frames are a type of calibration frame that's meant to either cancel out or minimize the natural noise produced by your camera sensor. But are they truly doing what they're supposed to do? The answer just might shock you. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to properly take dark frames and also check to make sure that they properly calibrate your light frames. Hey everyone, it's Tony with Hidden Light Photography. And if you've been following along so far, then you know in the last few videos, we've been going over histograms and how to push them right or left with gain and offset. And that has everything to do with dark frames and doing dark frames correctly. And if you haven't been following along and you're new to the channel, welcome. Make sure to hit that subscribe button because I don't want you to miss out on any valuable information. This channel is all about helping every skill level, even if you've never done this before. So make sure to subscribe and let's hop over to my computer because I have some stuff that just might surprise you. If you're running WBPP in PixInsight and you're finding yourself having a lot of frames failing here or even in here, the answer might surprise you. Your calibration frames are more times than not the culprit. And if you remember from our flat frames video, flat frames is not a race. Running through your flat frames as fast as possible can overheat your sensor and cause your images or calibration frames to be brighter than expected, causing them to not calibrate properly. And as you're about to see, we can have the same thing happen in our dark frames, but for a different reason. So let's hop in and see what I'm talking about. So the question is, are your dark frames truly doing what you think that they're doing? And to answer that, I have prepared a quick demonstration here. And we're in PixInsight, and you're going to see statistics and fits header. And I encourage you, do this with your dark frames. Check it out because you might be shocked. And where you find those is in process, all processes, statistics, fits header. And first thing, what we're going to do is we're going to open up one of our single light frames from M42. We're going to go to one of the 30-second ones. Let's grab any one right here. We're going to give this a quick stretch. And we're going to go to fits header. Make sure you have the correct one. We're going to see it's a light frame, exposure time 30 seconds, date and time information, gain 100, offset 50. And the set temperature was -10. The actual measured CCD temperature of this frame was -9.9. And you're always going to have a couple of tenths of fluctuation. That's okay. And then what we're going to do is, let's go to statistics. And we have a mean ADU reading of 522.7. Now, let's go back into WBPP. I'm going to go to my dark library, my 2600 camera, -10C 100G, or 100 gain, 30 seconds, and let's grab one of these. And as you can see, these were taken the very next day. We'll give it a quick stretch. Make sure we have the correct one based off of your header. And we can see it's a dark frame, exposure 30 seconds, date and time information, gain 100, offset 50. The set temperature was -10. The CCD temperature, as measured in this frame, was -10. And we have a mean ADU reading of 502.2. Now it's important to know your light frame ADU and your dark frame ADU. Your dark frame ADU, it can be close. It can never be more than your light frame ADU. That happens from time to time. And what that does is it creates a lot of 0 or negative value pixels and causes failures when WBPP is doing your frame measurements and your normalization routines, like what we were showing in the previous frame here. Now, this is less than our light frame, so for the most part, we are good. Now, let's see how temperature affects this. So I did a couple of test dark frames. So we're going to go back into WBPP here. I'm sorry. Yeah, back in my WBPP folder. I apologize. And we're going to go into test dark. And here is 100 gain, 50 offset. Over 30 seconds, we'll just grab any one of these. We'll give that a quick stretch. And let's make sure that we have the correct one. So we're going to go to fits header. And if you notice, we already have a difference here. You see the difference in the dark frame. So right here, we have dark, 30 seconds, date and time information. Gain 100, offset 50. So far, we're looking good. We're matching, right? Wrong. We have, I never turned on my cooler for this. So it was, the value put in the box was 0. But our actual CCD temp as measured during this dark frame was 28.5 degrees Celsius. That is a big temperature change. Now let's check this out. Let's go into here, 515.2. Just the temperature change alone. Now, this doesn't seem like much of a difference in the ADU as compared to our light frame. In fact, let's make this a little bit easier. Let's call this light. Let's call this dark G for good. Let's call this dark B for bad. Now we can easily tell these apart. So we have 522.7 mean ADU on our light frame. Our dark good frame is 502.2, and our dark bad frame is 515.2. Now, we are still less on our ADU on our dark frame, even our bad one, as compared to the light frame. We can all agree on that. What happens though? Here's the part that just might blow your mind. Let's go into here and let's break out some pixel math. Let's go light minus dark G. We're going to create a new image. Let's call this good. You know, let's keep it the same as the target. We'll grab our light frame. And let's stretch this. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and grab dark bad. Let's call this bad. Okay, now let's minimize our initial light frame. Let's get that out of the way. Let's minimize our dark good frame. And let's minimize our dark bad frame. Let's get rid of pixel math. We don't need that for right now. Let's get rid of this and this for right now so we have room to work with. Our good frame, check this out. Let's see what happens. Look at that. Check that out. All of this blackness is negative or zero value pixels, and we are losing data. Even though your gain and your offset matched your light frame, temperature made this much of a difference, okay? And even though we can still see some of the slight nebulosity in here, the detail of it is not there. Look just right in over here, you have so much more. And this doesn't look like a lot. This is a single exposure. But this compared to this is going to be a massive difference when you get to your stacked image. So keep that in mind. It is so important to get as close as possible to the correct temperature, or what I should say is the matching temperature that was used when you had your light frames done. Okay, so let's minimize these for just a moment. And let's break out our statistics, and let's break out our fits header really quick, because I just want to show you something. Now, again, if you've been following along and you saw the histogram video, then you'll know that gain and offset are how, or another way that you can move your histogram right or left. Moving it right is brighter, left is darker. So we already know, okay? Let's grab our dark, let's open up 50 offset, 150 gain. Let's open up our dark bad again. And our dark bad, as you can see here, was a 30-second exposure, 100 gain, 50 offset, and it had a mean ADU of 515.2. So let's stretch this really quick. And let's bring up this image, and we can see our offset is identical to this image. However, our gain is an extra 50 points. So what'll happen? If you said that the histogram's going to move right and we're going to have a higher mean, you're absolutely correct. See how that mean went up? Now, on the flip side, let's go ahead and get rid of these really quick. Let's grab a 100 gain and 40 offset. So now we know, I don't know why I closed out of that one. I apologize. Let me grab 100 gain, 50 offset really quick. And we're going to stretch this. We're going to stretch this. Okay. So we've got 24, 1, 1, 18, 7, which is right here. We've got 100 gain and 50 offset. And we have 509.5. Now, this was 100 gain, 40 offset. So being that the offset is less, which way is the histogram going to move? If you said left, meaning darker, you're absolutely correct. See how the 50 offset, 509.5, 40 offset, 479.3. Isn't that cool? Now, that is why it's important when you're doing your dark frames, you match everything to your light frames. Every little bit matters. Now, you're probably saying, hey, Tony, if I am taking a dark frame and it's close to my light frame on ADU, and it's too close for my comfort, can't I just lower my gain or lower my offset to push that histogram left? No. And here's why. Remember, a dark frame is a calibration frame that's used to calibrate out, cancel out, or minimize the natural noise of your camera sensor. More gain, more noise. Less gain, less noise. You're going to have a different noise pattern if you adjust the gain, so it's not going to calibrate correctly. Offset is an artificial number, or a pedestal, if you will, that's added or subtracted from all pixels across the board on your camera sensor. You're going to have a different noise pattern that you're calibrating off of. And you want that noise pattern to be identical to the noise pattern that you had when you were taking your light frames. So the short answer is no, you can't. You have to use the same. Now, if you run into an issue where everything is matching, your gain, your offset, your temperature is absolutely as close as possible that you can get it, and you're still a little bit close, the beautiful part is WBPP has what's called a pedestal that you can add in the pre-processing stage to take care of that. And we're going to go over that when we get into processing. Now, let's hop on over to Nina and let's see how we take dark frames. So to run your dark frames, what you're going to do in Nina is go to Equipment, Camera, and turn on your camera. And if you're using a cooled camera, this is where you set your temperature. Make sure, again, your temperature matches what your light frames were. And then you'll hit the snowflake button and you'll wait for your camera to come to temp. Now mine is already at temp. The next step that I would recommend is check to make sure that your camera truly is at temp. Then what you're going to do is add new target. Make sure that you check dark. I've done this before where I accidentally left it on light and WBPP did not recognize it as a dark frame because in the metadata it was shown as light. So make sure you have dark selected. I normally will run about 50 each of my calibration frames. Your time is your exposure. Make sure no matter what exposure you used for your light frames, whatever you're shooting the dark frames for, your exposure time matches. No matter what your light frames were, you have that number for your exposure on your dark frames. Your binning matches. Make sure your gain, no matter what your gain was, okay? Your gain and your offset both match what your light frame was. Because remember, if it doesn't, you're gonna have issues. If you're using a cooled camera, I would at a minimum keep cool camera and warm camera checked. So this way, once it's done, it properly warms up your camera. Go into Options, Imaging, click the three dots, and you pick the folder that you want it to go into. If you pick just your normal folder, we'll take M42 for example, Nina will automatically create a folder called dark and then put your dark frames you're about to shoot in that folder. If you're using a cooled camera and you're adding to your dark library, you can set it up however you want. I will have my camera as the first folder, my temperature and my gain as the second folder, and then what I'll do is I will have what it is, what my exposure time is that I shot the dark frame for. And I can go back in later on and pull them for future light frames. Okay, and then once you're done, all that you're gonna do is go back into Sequencer, hit play. You might get this warning. If you do, just click OK, and it'll automatically start taking your dark frames. And that's all that it takes to get proper dark frames and also check to make sure that they're doing what they are truly supposed to do. So do me a favor, that channel icon that popped up, hit that channel icon, subscribe. I don't want you to miss out on any valuable information. We still got tons of stuff to cover. Throw a comment in the comment section. What are you struggling with dark frames? Did you find this useful? Do you want more content like this? And then check out that next video. Until the next time, clear skies.